We talked in the last video about how atoms do all this bonding to achieve a noble gas configuration, that is, to have 8 electrons in its outer shell. To achieve this, some atoms tend to share their electrons with each other to satisfy the octet rule, thus forming an actual physical bond known as a covalent bond. Now we go into types of bonds. There are different types of covalent bonds. A single bond is when 2 electrons or one pair of electrons are shared between 2 atoms. It is depicted by a single line between the 2 atoms. Although this form of bond is weaker and has a smaller density of electrons than a double bond or a triple bond, it is the most stable because it has a lower level of reactivity, meaning less vulnerability in losing electrons. A double bond is when 2 atoms share 2 pairs of electrons with each other. It is depicted by 2 horizontal lines between 2 atoms in a molecule. This type of bond is much stronger than a single bond, but less stable. This is due to its greater amount of reactivity compared to a single bond. Now we move on to the triple bond, in which there's 3 pairs of electrons that are shared between 2 atoms in a molecule. It is the strongest but the least stable out of the 3 general types of covalent bonds. It is very vulnerable to electron thieves. Covalent bonds also experience something called polarity, which is when electrons are not shared equally between each atoms. Because usually one atom is more electronegative, so they pull the electrons closer to itself. When this happens, a polar bond is formed. Water is an example of a polar bond. This also happens to cause partial charges to form on either sides. But not all covalent bonds are polar. Some who do share electrons equally are known as nonpolar bonds. This occurs when both atoms are equally electronegative. That's all for covalent bonds. Thanks for watching and make sure to subscribe.